Hey guys, Danny with Sideways at 11 here. If you saw my video from last week, I talked about the 8 things that I love about the Hyundai Sonata Turbo 2.0T. But today, I wanted to bring you guys some of the things that I hate about this car. It's not always good. Every car has something that's not good. And in this case, I have 6 things that were actually hard to think about because I really had to sit down and kind of write it out. What are the things that I dislike? And that in itself is a good thing. When you're having a hard time expressing some of the things that you don't like about a car, that means that there's not many of them, and that's, like I said, it's a great thing overall. So I guess let's just get started. First thing that I dislike, numero uno, is the transmission. I know I talked to you guys about the paddle shifters and how great they were. I guess the only Achilles heel to this car is the fact that the transmission is still old school-ish. It's more traditional. So say what Mercedes-Benz had in the early 2000s, mid-2000s, it's still a traditional type slush box. So you're not getting lightning fast shifts or anything like that. You kind of have to have it in sport mode in order to get fast shifting. So it really kind of weighs you down, and it's not as sporty as you would like, especially considering that it's a sport car. I guess it's still a sport family sedan, so it's not, a 2-door coupe or a GT car of that sort, but it's still something that, I wish was a little bit more modern. When you go to downshift gears, it doesn't blip the throttle. It does the typical, engine braking feel. So in that way, it still kind of takes away from the sporty feel. It makes you wonder why, because it seems the transmission is very smooth. So it's not like a super old school box. It's still a very refined transmission. The gears, you don't even feel them shifting. However, they're not very sporty. And so I think Hyundai, when they designed it or when they tuned it for this car, they'd made it specifically for, a daily driver family sedan. And I guess I can't hate them for it. It is a family sedan after all. So number 2 is inconsistent power. And what I mean by that is power delivery. So the car, you fire it up on the way to work in the morning and you're driving and you get on the gas and it just feels like it's missing like 30 or 40 horsepower. Okay, so maybe the car isn't warm enough or you were in the wrong gear. And at first I thought maybe the traction control was kicking in and holding the car back from shifting or actually from accelerating. And so I tried it again another day. I was driving around, I put my foot down and it felt like it was missing power. And then 5 minutes later I put my foot all the way down, floored it, and it burned out and it was great. So a few minutes later after that, I got on the power again, and again it felt like I was maybe a second or two slower, 0 to 60. So I actually got an app for my phone. There's like a million of them on the App Store. So I downloaded the app, I put it up, and I did a run. And the first 0 to 60 time that I got was, I believe, 6.2 seconds, which is actually respectable for a car this big and heavy. I did it again a few minutes later, and I got 7.2. So I was right. What I felt was correct. I was 1 second off my original time, and that's disappointing. I don't understand what's going on. I had traction control off. I had everything off. Everything was great. And so I don't understand why suddenly I'm getting a fluctuation in power delivery. I actually went online and Googled it, and it seems that some owners are also complaining of this fact. I'm not sure if there's an update by Hyundai. I doubt it. But if there is, maybe I'll be able to get that update when I go to the service station. But this car is a 2015 model. I got it at the end of 2015. You think that by then they would have figured it out. I just think that there's something that we're not aware of. And maybe it has to do with cooling. There's so many different things, but this is the first car I've had this issue with. So to each his own. We'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully we'll get an update. Next thing that I hate about this car, number 3, is the engine sound. Yes, it's quiet, but because it's direct injected, it has this sewing machine, windy, clattery sound in there, and it's kind of annoying. It almost feels, or it almost sounds like it's a diesel engine, and you think about, okay, well, diesel engines have that like sound, and everybody knows what trucks or F-250s with the V10 diesel engines sound like. But in this case, it just seems like you know, the direct injection, the nozzles that spray in the high pressure fuel pump, it makes this like weird sewing machine-y sound that is not really that attractive, and I don't like it. It's just one of those things, and the exhaust note isn't loud, so all you really hear when you're getting on it is this just sound, even when you're just driving casually. Sometimes I'll pull up to a drive-through and I can hear it just resonating off the wall, and it's just like, so I guess it's just one of the downsides of having a direct injection engine. I've also heard it on other cars as well. Maybe it's just something that they'll work through over the years, but the gain in power and fuel economy, I guess, might be worth it. So we'll see. Next thing that I don't like about the car is that I cannot disengage traction control. And what I mean by that is there's two modes of disengagement. There's one mode that just disengages your forward traction, and then the other actually is stability control. So I typically just turn off everything. So you press it once, it'll disengage traction, and then you press, well, I guess if you press and hold from the start, it'll actually disengage everything. However, when you're in a corner and you're accelerating out, because it's front wheel drives, you'll have some wheel spin, of course. You notice that it'll cut power. So you feel it hesitate, and in that way is actually quite annoying, because why is it there if I cannot really turn it off? It just feels like it turns it off to a degree, maybe 60 or 70%, and then the rest of the way it just it'll kick in and it'll save you from hairy things. And I guess that's not a bad thing if you're in a bad situation where you're going to crash or anything of that sort. It might be okay, but honestly, what I want is for it to be completely off. What if I took it to a track day? Yes, people will tell me it's a sedan, it's a family sedan, it's huge, it's the size of a 5 Series. You can fit everybody and their brother in the back seat there. But it's still one of those things. Why do you even offer the option of turning it off when you don't allow it to be off completely? This is kind of the same issue that Golf R owners were complaining, VW Golf R, of the MK6 variant. And when the MK7s came out, they actually were, the new owners were able to turn it off completely. So it's just one of those things that just bothers me. It's not a huge inconvenience, but it's just something that I don't like. Next one is the suspension. It's a sport package, so you expect a little bit more sporty suspension. If this is the sport suspension to the regular Sonata, which is, I believe the limited, or just a typical, the 4-cylinder, 6-cylinder without the sport package, I can't imagine how soft the car that has the regular suspension is. I mean, this thing is still soft. It leans a lot. You go through the car and when you brake, you feel it lean forward. It's comfortable. So I guess that's kind of the trade-off for having a softer suspension, but it's not sporty by any means. So don't expect to be in this sports car or having a sports car feel. I mean, you're gonna go canyon carving, you're gonna be okay, but you're not really gonna be going that fast. So I guess it's just, they have the mentality of more of a family wagon with some sport feel to it and a sport, look. But I don't think really if you put it on the track, you're going to do well or go through the canyons. So don't try to keep up with anybody. Yes, you have the power, but you don't think that you're going to keep up with, the Miata in front of you. He'll kick your butt. So lastly, what I dislike about this car is the head unit. I'll have a picture up to show you what I'm talking about. The head unit on this car is kind of tiny. Well, yes, it functions well. It has reverse camera and all that stuff. That's cool. But this isn't the navigation unit that I got, and it just looks so out of place. Everything else is so nice looking, and then you look at this head unit and it's tiny. It's probably 5 inches. Honestly, for today's standards, you need at least 8 inches on your head unit or more if you want something that looks nice, just aesthetically. Forget functionality. I'm just talking about aesthetics. So it's as if they gave you just like the little screen. It gets by, you can adjust everything with the little screen on there. But I feel like they want you to buy the navigation unit, which has a nicer big screen, just for aesthetics purposes, because it looks nicer. So I think that's one of the things that I dislike as far as the head unit goes. Again, I'll have a picture up so you guys can see what I'm talking about. And I think that basically wraps up my 6 top hated things about this car. Honestly, if you really were to ask me and really push for one the seventh reason or a seventh thing that you don't like about this car, I wouldn't be able to answer it, because that's it. The car is comfortable, it's beautiful, and it rides well. So I hope this helps you guys when you're shopping for a car, or for this particular car. And you know, when you go to the dealer, you kind of understand what some of the things that are great about it, and what are some of the things that aren't so great about it. And you know, you can make a smart decision when it comes to buying a car. So I hope this helps you guys. Please subscribe, thumbs up, leave a comment if you agree or disagree, or have anything to add. Maybe there's something that you don't like about it and you own one. Otherwise, I'll talk to you guys soon. And again, please subscribe. Thanks.